What's good? So, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We get every NFL rivalry explained in 20 minutes. Let's check this
Packers
out.
versus Bears.
Alright.
This is the NFL's oldest rivalry. It started in
Type shit.
1921, and over 200 games later, it still feels personal. The Packers and Bears are the two oldest franchises in NFL history. Both are cornerstone teams from the league's early days, and they've hated each other ever since. From George Halas and Curly Lambeau, to Brett Favre and Brian Urlacher, to Aaron Rodgers screaming, "I own you," at Soldier Field. This rivalry has spanned generations. The Bears dominated early, but Green Bay's decades of quarterback supremacy flipped the script, especially in the Favre and Rodgers eras, when the Packers won 40 of 58 meetings between 1992 and 2022. No matter their records, when these two play, it matters. It's not just about football, it's about pride, it's about legacy, and even with the Bears trying to rebuild and the Packers turning to Jordan Love, nothing gets the Midwest fired up like Packers versus Bears.
Who
Ravens
y'all
versus Steelers.
Yeah. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I don't care what nobody say. This is the best rivalry in the NFL, bro.
The most violent rivalry in the NFL.
Hell yeah.
Ravens versus Steelers
It's the hood
isn't
of the
about
NFL
tradition
right here,
or
boy.
geography. It's about pain. Since the late 90s, these two AFC North bullies have built a rivalry on defense, disrespect,
I miss the old
and
school
downright
rivalry,
brutality.
though, Ray
The
Lewis and them
2000s
boys.
turned it into must-watch TV. You had Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and Terrell Suggs going head-to-head with Troy Polamalu, James Harrison, and Hines Ward. Every play felt like a car crash. Every hit could end a season. They've met multiple times in the playoffs, and each was an absolute slugfest. One-possession games, brawls, trash talk. The respect is real, but so is the hatred. These teams are mirror images. Smash-mouth football, elite defenses, passionate fan bases.
Starting to change
and
now,
it doesn't
bro.
matter who's under
these last
center.
couple years, I think since like what 2020, still has been owning us. Hey, that tide starting to change.
Whether
now,
it was Roethlisberger versus
Real
Flacco
shit.
or Lamar versus Pickett, when these teams line up, you know you're in for war.
Always some weird
this
shit
is the
happening.
grittiest, meanest rivalry the NFL has. Cowboys versus Eagles. This one's personal. Cowboys versus Eagles isn't just a divisional clash. It's a culture war.
I feel like
Dallas calls itself
each
America's
fan base
team.
like absolutely hates
Philadelphia, blue collar, gritty, and they hate that slogan with a passion. These fan bases are oil and water. Cowboys fans roll deep, even into Philly, and Eagles fans greet them with batteries, snowballs, and verbal.
Damn! What the fuck? Wait, how the fuck this nigga end up right here though? I'm not even gonna try
warfare.
To get
Literally. Cowboys fans have gotten jumped in the parking lot. On the field, it's had everything. Roger Staubach versus Ron Jaworski. Tony Romo versus Donovan McNabb. The Cowboys putting up 51 on the Eagles in 2022. They've traded division titles, ruined each other's playoff hopes, and never, ever missed a chance to throw shade. Even when they're both bad, the hate stays high. But when they're both good, it becomes must-see chaos. By the way, I'm going to be posting a lot here, so it would mean a lot if you subscribed and dropped a like for the algorithm. Cowboys versus 49ers. This is the rivalry that made the NFC. Cowboys versus 49ers isn't about geography, it's about dominance. Two dynasties that collided again and again. In the 1970s, the Cowboys knocked the Niners out of the playoffs back-to-back years. Then, the Niners got their revenge in 1995. In the 90s, they traded NFC championships like heavyweight boxers. Aikman versus Young. Emmett versus Ricky Waters. Irvin versus Jerry Rice. Each game felt like the real Super Bowl. And recently, they've picked up right where they left off. They've met twice in the last 3 postseasons, and the 49ers won both. As of 2025, the all-time series is tied 21-19, Niners lead. This rivalry is about pride. It's two fan bases that think they should be the face of the NFC. Raiders
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Mainly, like, both fan bases mainly filled up with Mexicans, bro. Let's keep it a buck. It be mainly Mexican Cowboy. Like, I can see a lot of Mexicans right here, bro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. God damn, bro. Mexicans, they only be like Cowboys fans, Niners fans, Raiders fans. That's about it, bro.
Raiders versus Chiefs.
Damn.
This isn't just a rivalry. It's war. Raiders versus Chiefs might be the most hostile rivalry the NFL has ever seen. It started in the old AFL, and from the very beginning,
I remember
these
that
teams
Raiders
hated
Niners
each other.
rivalry.
In the 1969 AFL Championship, Kansas City beat Oakland to go to the Super Bowl. Raiders owner Al Davis never forgot it. And after the merger, the tension didn't cool down. It got nuclear. From bench-clearing brawls to personal fouls that looked more like criminal charges, these games were violent.
Got that nigga in the headlock.
Let's just say if you're wearing the wrong jersey at Arrowhead or the Coliseum, good luck. Kansas City currently leads the all-time series 75-55-2, and in the last few years, it hasn't even been close. Since Patrick Mahomes took over, the Chiefs have dominated the rivalry. But despite the scoreboard, the hatred never left. The Raiders still view the Chiefs as the enemy. And Chiefs fans, they live to humiliate Las Vegas. Giants versus Eagles. This rivalry is pure NFC East chaos.
Especially after Saquon went to Philly, I know they hated that.
New York Giants and Philadelphia Eagles have been beating each other up since 1933. And while the Giants dominated early, the Eagles flipped the script in the modern era. As of June 2025, the Eagles lead the all-time series 96-89, including the playoffs. And lately, it's been all Philly. Since 2014, the Eagles are 17-4 against the Giants.
Gosh.
Philly fans love to remind Giants fans about it, and they're ruthless. But the Giants have had their moments too. They ruined the Eagles' playoff hopes in 2006.
You gotta have some balls going to like Lincoln Financial Field as a Giants fan, Cowboys fan, Washington Commanders fan. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I remember seeing a clip last year from like the NFC Championship game. A lot of Commanders fans got jumped outside the stadium. I was like, yeah. I ain't gonna lie, nigga. If I was one of their fans, bro, I'm not going to a
And in
Philly
2010,
game,
they were on the wrong side of the miracle at the new Meadowlands.
Fuck that.
When Deshaun Jackson walked it off with a punt return touchdown that lives in highlight reels forever. Every time they meet, it's a war of attrition between two teams that cannot stand each other, with fan bases that treat a win like a Super Bowl. Jets versus Patriots.
Patriots
This one's
own
personal,
them niggas.
especially if you're a
primarily
Jets fan.
Tom Brady.
The Jets and Patriots have been division rivals since the 1960s, but this rivalry escalated into full-blown hostility during the Tom Brady-Bill Belichick era, and it started with betrayal. In 2000, Bill Belichick resigned as Jets head coach after just one day and took the Patriots job instead. Since then, New England has absolutely dominated. The Patriots lead the all-time series 75-56. In fact, the Jets literally went 7 years without beating New England, finally breaking the streak in 2023. But there's more fuel to this fire. In 2007, the Patriots were caught videotaping Jets' defensive signals in the infamous Spygate scandal. Then, in 2010, Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez stunned the Patriots in the playoffs, upsetting the 14-2 Pats in Foxborough. But the Pats got their revenge. And even without Brady, New England still owns this rivalry. But Jets fans haven't forgotten the pain. Packers versus Vikings. This is one of the most intense rivalries in the NFC North. I feel like this is one of the more iconic and it's never been about just football. Packers versus Vikings is a battle of borders and of Midwest bragging rights that spans over 60 years. The Packers lead the all-time series 66-60, but the margin is shrinking. The Vikings have been much more competitive in the last decade, thanks to young superstar Justin Jefferson. It's a clash of styles. The tradition-heavy Packers
y'all think JJ McCarthy gonna go crazy this
fiercely
year?
Loyal fan base of the Vikings. But it's not just about the fans, it's about stolen quarterbacks. In 2009, Brett Favre, the Packers legend, joined the Vikings and torched Green Bay at Lambeau Field. It felt like betrayal. But for Vikings fans, it was one of the greatest moments in team history. In 2020, Dalvin Cook ran wild on the Packers for 226 total yards and 4 touchdowns. In 2022, Justin Jefferson humiliated the Packers' defense with 184 receiving yards in Week 1. But despite the Vikings' highlights, the Packers still hold the edge, especially with Jordan Love's rise in 2024. This rivalry is loud, close, and always personal. 49ers versus Seahawks. This isn't just a rivalry. It's a war that peaked in the 2010s and hasn't cooled off
especially
since.
with Legion
The
of Boom,
49ers
boy.
versus Seahawks
Richard Sherman
rivalry
and
didn't start
Michael
hot.
Crabtree.
It took off when Jim Harbaugh and Pete Carroll brought their college beef from Stanford versus USC straight to the NFL. From 2011 to 2014, it was the most physical, emotional, and high-stakes feud in football. The 2014, it was the most
Was he just trying to hug? I think he was just trying to hug.
Physical, emotional, and high-stakes feud in football.
Like,
the Seahawks, a Legion of Boom versus the 49ers front seven. Colin Kaepernick versus Russell Wilson. Frank Gore versus Marshawn Lynch. And it all exploded in the 2013 NFC Championship game. Kaepernick launched a pass to Crabtree in the end zone, and Richard Sherman tipped it, sealing the Seahawks Super Bowl trip and delivering the now iconic post-game rant. I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're gonna get. The Seahawks lead the all-time series 31-23, but lately, San Francisco's taken over. Brock Purdy and Deebo Samuel lit up the Seahawks in the 2022 wildcard round, winning 41-23. Steelers versus Browns. This is the AFC's oldest rivalry, and one of its most lopsided. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns have been going at it since 1950, back when leather helmets were still around.
Bruh. Nigga, imagine playing with this shit on. I couldn't do it. I ain't gonna lie. Nigga, there's no protection. You think getting concussions now is bad? I can only imagine what they was going through back then, bro. Niggas was probably getting their eyeballs poked out and shit. That's hella unsafe. I ain't gonna lie.
And the Browns were dominating the league.
Imagine somebody getting a cleat to the face.
Cleveland owned Pittsburgh, winning the first 16 matchups straight. But then, the tide turned. Since the 1970s, it's been a Steelers stronghold, and it hasn't let up. Pittsburgh leads the all-time series 82-64.
Every team
but don't let the record fool you. The hate is real. There's been brawls, ejections, and blood spilled on.
This is the most iconic brawl, bro. We all know what happened with this helmet that Myles Garrett got in his hand, bro.
Both sides.
We ain't gotta say too
Nothing proves it more than Myles Garrett swinging a helmet at Mason Rudolph.
Bro, I think after that point, that's when Steelers fans really started to hate Myles
moments
Garrett.
in NFL history.
That's when the hate started.
Suspensions, fines, and full-on chaos.
They can't stand
this isn't just
that
a division game. It's factory town
Yo,
violence between two cities that live for football. Bears versus Vikings. This one doesn't get as much attention as Packers versus Bears.
Bro, I love
but don't
football
be
so
fooled.
much. That shit
It started in 1961 when the Vikings joined the league and instantly beat the Bears in their first ever game. That set the tone. Over the years, it's been a back and forth tug of war. Minnesota leads the all-time series 68-58. The thing is, this rivalry is less about championships.
That nigga knocked that was that Favre?
To 58. The thing
Oh my, yeah. I'm not surprised. Look who's standing over him. That nigga, bro. Something was really wrong with this nigga Brian Urlacher, bro. Real shit. Now this picture makes sense. He probably whacked that nigga Favre.
This rivalry is less about championships and more about who can deliver the colder punch in a frozen December slugfest. There's no real playoff history between them, but that doesn't mean there's no bad blood.
Oh my gosh!
2000 playoff history.
Hey, bro, I ain't gonna lie.
But that doesn't.
I feel like this, like, bro. These fan fights be out of hand, bro. Nigga got a Justin Fields jersey on standing over somebody. That is crazy.
Mean their last 8 matchups and looking like the more stable franchise on the field. But make no mistake, the Bears don't forget. This is about division pride, about being the toughest team in the NFC North. Falcons versus Saints. Forget trophies, forget respect. Falcons versus Saints is about pure petty hatred, and it runs deep. This rivalry kicked off in 1967, when both teams were still expansion afterthoughts. But it didn't take long for fans to pick a side and never forgive the other. It's not a flashy matchup to outsiders, but to Atlanta and New Orleans, it's war. The games are always weird, personal, emotional, and usually high scoring. They've combined for multiple 40-plus point shootouts, blown leads, and heartbreaking finishes. The all-time series, 56-56. It doesn't get tighter than that. The most infamous game? Probably 2012, when the Falcons entered 8-0, and the 3-5 Saints handed them their first loss.
Wow.
And then talk trash like they just won the Super Bowl. This rivalry doesn't need us. And then talk trash.
Hold up. Did that nigga... Yo, he's spelling so many words wrong. Oh my gosh. Is there something wrong with the New Orleans school system or something? Like, bruh. Nah, I can't.
Brash, like they just won the Super Bowl.
Unless you saying like Falcons K or some shit. Like, that's why he put the K in there, but... I don't know.
This rivalry doesn't need playoff stakes. Though they did meet in 1991, a Falcons
That's
win.
Probably why he put the
Saints
K in
fans
there,
call the Falcons chokers. Falcons fans call the Saints arrogant. Both think the other city doesn't deserve football.
Falcons still
Commanders versus
Cowboys.
Before the Commanders were the Commanders, this was Cowboys versus Redskins.
Hey, they need to bring back that Redskins name, boy. And have, bro, why do they stop having the Redskins versus the Cowboys on Thanksgiving every year, bro? Like, Thanksgiving games don't feel the same without that.
Murchison tried to start a team, but needed a league approval from one last vote.
Every Thanksgiving.
That vote? George Preston Marshall, owner of Washington's team at the time. He said no. Until Murchison bought the rights to the team's fight song, then used it as leverage to force Marshall into agreeing. So yeah, the rivalry started with a business shakedown over a marching band song, and it only got petty from there. Throughout the 70s and 80s, Washington and Dallas were both powerhouses, combining for 8 Super Bowl appearances and 5 wins from 1971 to 1991.
The most combined
rings? The battles were vicious, the crowds were hostile, and the games were season deciders. In 1983, they met in the NFC Championship. Washington won 31-17. In 1992, Dallas returned the favor, blowing past them to start their dynasty. The all-time record, Dallas leads 79-49. Dolphins versus Jets. At first glance, this doesn't look like a rivalry. Miami and New York don't share borders. They don't have deep historical hatred, and yet this feud has been quietly spiteful for over 50 years. It began in the old AFL, when both teams were still trying to build identities. Then came Joe Namath, Broadway Joe, who gave New York swagger,
he's still the best
and
quarterback
Don
of all
Shula,
time,
who gave
right?
Miami excellence. In the 80s and 90s, this matchup became must-watch TV.
That's actually
Why?
sad.
Because the games were almost always close, and the trash talk was elite. But nothing tops Monday Night 2000. The Dolphins were up 30-7 going into the fourth quarter, and then the Jets pulled off the unthinkable. Vinny Testaverde led 4 touchdown drives in the final quarter, plus a game-tying field goal. They won 40-37 in overtime, in a game now known as the Monday Night Miracle. And in 2008, Brett Favre left the Packers to join the Jets, just in time to face the Dolphins and his successor, Chad Pennington, who had just been cut by the Jets.
Similar careers,
Pennington got his revenge. Miami beat the Jets in Week 17 and won the division. It's not the loudest rivalry, but it's a rivalry nonetheless. Lions versus Packers. The Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers have been trading blows since 1930. That's nearly a century of history. And it's been mostly one-sided. The Packers have dominated this matchup for decades. Detroit has been their punching bag. But don't get it twisted.
Starting to fight back
the rivalry is real. Why? Because these games matter to the identity of both franchises. Detroit sees Green Bay as the golden child, the team with all the trophies, the legends, the respect. Meanwhile, Green Bay sees Detroit as that little sibling who keeps coming back, no matter how many times they get knocked down. Thanksgiving games, Lambeau blowouts, heartbreak in Week 17, they've had it all. But the Lions finally started fighting back. In 2015, they ended a 24-year losing streak at Lambeau Field. In 2022, they spoiled Aaron Rodgers' final game as a Packer, eliminating Green Bay from playoff contention in the last week of the season. Detroit isn't scared anymore. They're contenders. And every time they face Green Bay now, they play like they've got decades of pain to avenge. Chargers versus Raiders. Few rivalries have the chaos, bitterness, and petty energy of the Chargers versus Raiders. And it spans 4 cities. LA, Oakland, Vegas, and San Diego all got a piece of it. It all started back in the AFL days, where these two teams were constant thorns in each other's cleats. But once the leagues merged, things got even nastier. From Al Davis feuds to helmet-swinging brawls, the Chargers and Raiders never needed much to ignite a war. There have been games where players were ejected before halftime. Fans fought in the stands before the national anthem finished. Entire playoff hopes came down to one wild.
This game, bro, I ain't gonna lie. I'm a fan of neither of these teams, bro. But this shit pissed me off so much. Like, I think the Raiders were actually trying to chew out the clock, bro, and then both teams would have made the playoffs. But Brandon Staley, dumbass, want to call a timeout, and then the Raiders got in field goal range to win this game. That was the dumbest ending I've ever saw.
Overtime game.
Like, bro, that pissed me off so much.
Week 18, 2021 season. If they tied, both teams would make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But the Raiders said, "Screw that! Kick the game winner in overtime."
Nah, they were trying to run out the clock.
What makes this rivalry extra spicy is the proximity. They both shared SoCal fan bases, and the Raiders, even while in Oakland, always had a massive presence in Los Angeles. Patriots versus Bills. This rivalry used to be one-sided. Actually, no. It used to be humiliating. From 2001 to 2019, the New England Patriots owned the Buffalo Bills. Tom Brady went 32-3.
God damn!
He beat them with back. Buffalo Bills.
What the fuck? 32-3? Nah, bro. I know they threw some shit on the grill when this nigga left the division. Oh my gosh. I couldn't imagine going through that.
He went 32-3 against them.
Damn.
He beat them with backups. He beat them in snowstorms. For almost 2 decades, it felt like the Patriots were playing Madden on rookie difficulty. But then came the shift. Brady left, Allen arrived, and suddenly, the AFC East had a new sheriff. Josh Allen didn't just break the curse, he torched it. From hurdle highlights to playoff blowouts, Allen turned Foxborough into a second home. Remember the 2021 wildcard game? Bills scored on every single drive. No punts, no turnovers. Just straight
I ain't gonna lie, that 2022 season, bro, Bills' offense was nasty.
47-17. It was a revenge movie, and Buffalo was
especially in the playoffs.
Since
Josh
then,
Allen was
the rivalry has tightened. The all-time series stands. Patriots lead 79-51.
It don't even matter, bro. Like, it don't even matter how much they've been beating on them since what? Since 2020. They still got a huge margin on this rivalry, bro. Tom Brady really fucked them niggas up.
Buffalo might finally be building their own dynasty. And if they are, there's no sweeter place to start than by stomping the team that stomped them for 20 years. Bengals versus Chiefs. This isn't a classic rivalry built on decades of bad blood. It's new, it's spiteful, and it's already legendary. Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes. Burrow had.
You see they didn't put Ravens Bengals in here, boy. That ain't no rivalry, nigga. That's a custody battle, nigga. We own them niggas.
Championships, trash talk, late hits, and revenge. It's got everything. The fire ignited in 2021 when the Bengals shocked the world and took down Kansas City twice. Once in the regular season, and then again in the AFC Championship game, erasing an 18-point deficit. Cincinnati planted their flag. Burrow had never lost to Mahomes, and the Bengals started calling Arrowhead Burrowhead. The Chiefs that was a big mistake right there, bro. In 2022,
Bengals fans got too cocky. They ain't used to winning, bro. Like, how a team with 0 rings in a franchise gonna talk shit? Like, come on now, bro. And y'all got to worry about paying Trey Hendrickson and that nigga Shamar Stewart. And I heard that Shamar Stewart might just, you know what I'm saying, not play and hold out until the 2026 draft. Y'all, bro, I ain't gonna lie, Bengals front office, bro, y'all some stingy ass niggas. Like, y'all cheap as hell.
An ankle.
They don't want to pay nobody. You realize you gotta pay to have stars on your team.
In the AFC title game, it was like, pure football theater. And Travis Kelce's
niggas want to pay like
you got to
$500 million,
for your right.
$300 million for like 3 players on offense.
That went viral. Like, by 2025, the back and forth has only intensified. Mahomes and Burrow are the modern day Brady and Manning. They're both in their prime.
I'll say that's more Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, bro. We keep
this isn't just a rivalry; it's the future of the league. If you enjoyed this, I'm gonna be posting a lot.
This was a good ass vid.
I
ain't gonna lie.
A lot.
But hey, man, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Y'all let me know what other NFL videos I'm to react to. Without further ado, I'm out. I'ma make them feel me, make them people when they chow me. And if you don't know me, I'ma make sure that you know me. I hate to say it, but I really think I'm broke. But I know I'm chosen, I really know I'm chosen. I know I'm chosen. I was just lost a year ago, but now I'm focused.
When good at sports, this microphone can be my trophy. Not taking drugs, I found a better way of coping.